We're on.
Need to have them unmute on.
Good morning.
Good morning, Karen. I don't know if they can hear us on that end, but we can't hear you guys. Y'all are muted.
Right.
This morning for Toastmasters. It is worth getting up for. I got up this morning and was very happy to come in this morning and be here. I see we have a guest. The name again is
Karen.
Karen? Okay. She's out of the screen there. If everyone wants to wave to her back there. Okay, thank you. We'll get how she felt about the meeting at the end and ask her how she felt. We're going to start with our invocation, and the Toastmaster for the day has put herself down to give the invocation as well. So for the invocation, Sylvia, Baptiste.
Morning. Often we separate and divide our beliefs, but there are common threads which tie us together. Whether we be Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, agnostic, atheist, there are words that cross cultures and cross centuries. Resonate with the deep question in many of us. Why so much violence? Within every faith and culture, we find a cry for peace. This invocation is an attempt at a prayer for peace coming from many people, yet known by none. Perhaps this hour and a half that we spend together in words, which invoke our higher nature, might be some small bit of good. Amen.
If everyone could stand. Join me in the pledge. Flag is here. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Well, since we started a few minutes late, I am going to turn it immediately over to our Toastmaster of the day, Sylvia Baptiste, everyone.
Just a couple reminders. I'll put this mic on so you can hear me.
There we go.
You can hear me better?
Yes.
Just a couple reminders that's on this agenda. The annual picnic this year, Sunday, August 29th, 1 to 4. Pictures around 2 o'clock, somewhere around that hour. And dues will be due also. I will send out emails to everyone who owes. I do have a few people who pay for a full year. I don't want them to pay again. So I'll send out emails. And also a little housekeeping, table topics today. Eric volunteered. Thank you, Eric. I also need a quiz master. Tracy, will be Toastmaster today. Thank you, Tracy. So welcome to medieval festivals. Life during the Middle Ages was dedicated by the change of seasons and holidays of the month. The different seasons were celebrated with the religious beliefs. The religion of Christianity had been established in England during the Dark Ages. In medieval times, following the Norman conquest, new stone churches and cathedrals were built. Festivals marked the events of the importance of each month. For example, January, the 12th night religious feast and festival celebrated that the wise men followed the birth of Jesus. February, St. Valentine's Day, had the love and the song and dancing. March, Easter celebrated mystery, plays, deception, crucifixion. April, of course, April Fool's Day with our jokers and jokes, which this is a good time to now start introducing our roles. This morning, Tom Moran is our word master. Tom?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Yes, I've chosen a medieval word this morning. And for those of us that are virtual, I'll put it in the chat. The word is twaddle, Twaddle. And it means silly, idle talk. So if you can use this in a sentence while you're speaking today, and especially those people who are competing in the table topics portion of the meeting, you must use this in order to qualify for the voting. So the word is twaddle, Twaddle.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear the word.
It's twaddle. Yeah, we had,
Twaddle.
the sound was a bit better last week, so I have to, working on it. Twaddle.
Twaddle, okay.
TWADDLE.
Yes.
Jester Gerald Stevens.
Larry, can you chat to him to put the info in the chat?
I have the mic. All right. Can I be heard? Okay. Got the thumbs up over there. Great. A jest for today regarding medieval times. Why were the armies of the Middle Ages so tired? There were too many sleepless nights with a K in the army.
Wah, wah, wah.
My friend had an argument with me regarding what to call a medieval soldier. It got kind of late, so I decided to call it a knight. And one last one, I know you love them. Historians generally consider a part of the medieval era called the Dark Ages. That's because there were so many knights back then.
All nights.
All nights, 3 nights in a row.
Thank you. Esther Jennifer.
I do. I have a couple of quotes. Can everyone hear me? And I did choose some medieval literature to quote from today. Life is short, art long. Opportunity is fleeting. Experience treacherous. Judgment difficult. That is from Geoffrey Chaucer. And the other quote that I have for you today, comes from the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Your hand can seize today, but not tomorrow. And thoughts of your tomorrow are nothing but desire. Don't waste this breath if your heart isn't crazy, since the rest of your life won't last forever. Thank you.
morning, fellow Toastmasters and our guests this morning. My job will be to take note of everyone's good and poor use of the English language this morning. Thank you very much.
Thornton is doing double duty today. He's our master. Len Thornton.
Thank you. My job is to count all the ahs, ums, pregnant pauses, filler words that we sneak into our speeches all the time. And I will be diligent. So be careful.
Testing. Quizmaster Tracy Carroll.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. I will be listening intently today, and I will be having a test at the end of the meeting.
The jester is on Zoom this morning. David Jones.
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm going to do something that they did not have in the medieval times, and that is do technology, the AV, and see how it's working. It's working so far. Toastmaster, it's harder to hear you on Zoom than the actual speaker who will have the microphone, just to let you know up front. And then I'll also be looking for gestures, body language, facial expressions, all your nonverbals. And I'm sorry my speech is not a twaddle, but it is what it is. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Great.
Twaddle is silly, idle talk, for those of us who didn't hear that. Twaddle is the word of the day.
Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome.
And Kate, keep continuing with the timer. What does the timer do, Kate?
Thank you very much. And hold your mouth right to the microphone like Len did. The difference, if you don't hear somebody, look at what half an inch does. Half an inch. That's why you can't hear, because you're not using the microphone right, or someone isn't. So, table topics and evaluation and speeches. We all know that, and our guest knows that because Karen is a member at Rhetorical Roar. Table topics in this club is 1:30 to 2 minutes with a 15-second buffer. Speeches today mostly sound like 5 to 7 with a 30-second buffer. Evaluations shoot for 2 to 3 minutes with a 30-second buffer. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Kate. General evaluator is very important this morning, David Licata. David.
You can start walking up sooner to be too, if you want to. Just a reminder.
Thank you, Katie, for all that free advice. We appreciate it. Some of us would hear it as twaddle, but I take it to heart, Katie.
It's twaddle.
It's very simple. The general evaluator evaluates the Toastmaster of the day and the evaluators. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Before I introduce the Table Topics Master, I would like to tell you about the history or myth, you decide which one they are, of a toast in Middle Ages. Clicking glasses started as a way to guard against being poisoned. Noting that the segment of unfiltered wine, Margaret probably could tell us a lot about the wine, could be poisonous. After pouring each person a glass of wine, the host would drink a portion out of their glass to show it was not poison. Now this morning I'm not drinking from each of your cups, but one of the medieval toasts, which was very simple, everybody knows this one, to your health.
To your health. Mm-hmm.
Now to our table topics. Eric graciously volunteered an elevator. Does everybody first have a little ballot so they could vote? Yeah. Okay. Erik Schneider.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Missed you all. Good to be back in person. We're live. All right. Now, table topics questions. Talking about medieval times.
Hold it closer.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
If you can't hear yourself, we can't hear you.
Good point. Anyway, when I think of medieval, I'm thinking of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the Life of Brian. We could go on and on forever, right? Now I'm going to call on some lucky members of our studio audience today and on Zoom. So I'm going to ask somebody in person first. So I'm going to start with Margot.
Oh, no. Everybody starts with Margot. No. All right, let's start with Margot. Hey! I'm always going first.
Margot, have you ever been to a medieval festival? Margot.
Thank you very much. And Tom, I appreciate the word twaddle very much. The first time I heard it was in the musical 1776, when John Adams was talking about what Congress did, and all they did was twiddle twaddle and argue. So I had to look it up back then. So thank you for using that word today. No, I have not been to a medieval festival because they are during the summer. And I've been a farmer for many, many years, almost 40 years now. So no, we do not get out to medieval festivals. However, I do have a closet full of costumes, as Katie can tell you, because I used to make her wear them when she worked at the winery. And I said to Sylvia this morning that I was pulled out one of my beautiful dresses. It's purple, it's long, it's got the big fancy sleeves, it's got the thing around your head. And I stepped outside and I said, nope, way too hot. The fabric was one of those clingy. I did, however, wear it on Mother's Day. For those who don't know, I'm a marker lion, and on Mother's Day, we do a chicken barbecue. So yes, everybody came to turn in their tickets and pay their money to somebody dressed like a queen. I figured it was Mother's Day. What else was I going to do? So that actually is about the closest I've come to a medieval festival, is actually dressing by one myself. Am I okay on time, Kate? How am I doing? Have I made time?
You sure have.
Thank you.
You didn't go over. Good job.
All right. Our next contestant, we're going to become a guest on Zoom. Karen. Good morning. Karen, when you hear medieval festival, what comes to mind? What do you think? Help me welcome Karen Stewart to the Zoom lecture.
When I hear medieval festival, what comes to mind? Thank you for that question, Topics Master. When I hear medieval festival, I think most definitely people dressed in costume, knights, ladies, the whole 9 yards. What I think of as an ideal medieval festival would include a gigantic castle that is actually usable, not an inflatable to bounce in, not some large brick building that has a no entry sign on it, but something that is realistic, and full of rooms to go explore. And of course, to make it better for everyone, it should be open to adults too, because kids shouldn't be able to have all the fun. I think it would be in the grand hall, there would be dressing rooms and places to pick a costume, and then live music and food that would be typical of medieval times. But let's just say with all the seasonings of modern times available to spice it up. I think some of the best festivals give you an immersion experience. And so to me, that would be an ideal way to experience a medieval festival. Thank you, Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Karen. All right. One more question. And this is going to be for Phil Russell. Phil, good morning.
Good morning.
Phil, the Renaissance time period started around the 1500s, marking the end of Dark Ages into the time of light. What does that make you think of? Phil Russell, everybody.
Hey, before I get started, I want you to notice this hat. This is a medieval hat. The reason it's a medieval hat, when you go to a Buffalo Bills game, it's like a medieval festival. Breaking tables, getting drunk, and debauchery, the whole 9 yards. National Football League hates it. However, the Buffalo Bills people love it. Now, medieval festivals. I even have my Celtic Festival shirt on in honor of that, because that's my bestest and favoritist of all medieval festivals. Now, I've been known, even when I'm not at a medieval festival, to twaddle in my conversations. That's because the Irish bull comes out and you can't help it. Especially I was brought up by an Irish father. Now, his mother was Irish. His father was Irish. And they would twaddle and twaddle forever and ever. I remember those days. My father, we could never tell whether he was telling the truth or a lie. However, he enjoyed life. He had a good time. Now, I remember one time when Tom Moran, father, and my father got together. Talk about twaddling. Those two, you couldn't understand what they were talking about. They would even go from the post office to the gas station. I didn't know what they were talking about, but they always would twaddle on and forever and ever. And the more beers they had, the worse it got. However, they had a good time. And that's what I love about the medieval festivals. And I'm glad that the Banks family brought it to Western New York, because it's a great event. Mr. Topics Master.
Could I have a word master report, please, Mr. Tom Moran?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. This morning, I'm sorry to say Karen did not use the word of the day, twaddle. However, Margot used it 3 times, and Phil Russell used it 4 times. So it's up to you to decide as far as the word goes. Mr. Table Topics Master.
They don't require a rhetorical roar, so maybe you can make an exception.
Oh, yeah. We can make an exception. Ma'am Timer, how did our contestants do this morning?
Can you hear me on Zoom? Because I'm right near your audio. Okay. Everyone qualified as far as time today. Margot, clearly, because she knows what she's doing, not me. I'm not sure, since I was so enraptured in her speaking, I stopped paying attention to my job. Good job. I'm sure it was right on the mark. Karen was at 153 and Phil made it with the buffer at 211. Anybody on Zoom can vote, chat privately to Larry McKenzie. Please vote for your best today.
All right. Thank you very much. I will turn things over back to our Toastmaster. Thank you.
While everybody is casting their vote, like Kate said,
thanks, Mike.
Virtual people be messaging Larry directly to vote for table topics and speakers and evaluators today. To celebrate, as somebody has already mentioned, to celebrate the festivals, the big draw is food. And with the medieval times, it depends on your status, from peasants to being very wealthy, of how you ate. And that was drawn in with the festivals. For example, the peasants had a diet that was mostly barley, dark breads, pancakes, porridge, soups. And if harvest was poor that year, they would incorporate more beans and peas into the meals. Meat pies, of course, with a lot of herbs, but only beef or lamb for the peasants. They were not allowed to hunt deer, boar, or rabbits. That was for the noblemen. And that brought, they ate more, I should say, not brought, ate more fresh meats and fresh fruits and vegetables and fish. Non-alcoholic drinks, there was some, believe it or not. There was elderberry, apple cider, apricot nectar, Norfolk punch, and bottled water. The alcoholic drinks, Celtic heather ale, summer ale, apple cider, pear cider, mulled wine, red and white wines. Now for our speaking portion, we'll start with our first evaluator, Larry McKenzie, who will be evaluating Carol Ann Halsted. Larry.
Good morning, everyone. It's time to evaluate Carol Halsted this morning. Her speech will be from Connecting with Storytelling, and I don't know which level it is, but I'm sure Carol is going to be telling us a great story today. The purpose of her project is for the member to practice using a story written in a speech or giving a speech that is a story. Figure that one out. The title, Meet at the Fair. Meet at the Fair, Carol Halsted.
Meet me at the fair. What fair? The Erie County Fair, of course. We, my husband and I, and a couple of our daughters went last Saturday. And one thing that you need on a hot sunny day is your suntan lotion and a hat. When we arrived, it was about 11 a.m. and the first thing we saw was called a camel encounter. They had several camels and they had them prancing around a ring. And we found out that there are two types of camels, a dromedary with one hump and a Bactrian with two humps, and they explained the adaptations such as a third eyelid that keep the camels safe in a desert sandstorm. We then proceeded to the historical building, and each town in Erie County has a display about something particular to their community. One had the story of Father McGivney, who was the founder of the Knights of Columbus. One was about the first woman who was secretary of the Steelworkers Union and brought about a lot of positive changes. And there was a Native American gentleman who was talking about herbs and other plants that have medicinal properties. Everything from painkiller to something to stop bleeding and antibiotic properties. Of course, the drug companies would not like that to be general knowledge. We went to a stunt show, motorcycles, pictured two motorcycles going quite fast in an enclosed cage, a round cage. And at one point, a member of their group, a woman, stood in the center while they went around her. Another was motorcycles jumping ramps. One of them, when he was jumping before he landed, did a total 360 hanging on to the motorcycle. We've always enjoyed Ramblin' Lou over the years, and he's passed away, but we were very glad that his son, daughter, wife, and grandchildren continue putting on the show, so the beat goes on. There's a lot of animals there, and one portion is called the Maternity Ward. And we actually were able to see a calf that was only a few hours old. And they also had some cute little pigs in there. Everyone goes to the fair for food. Any ethnic type of food that you can imagine, and deep fried anything. We chose the New York style pizza, Chevetti's chicken dinner, and a funnel cake. Of course, there's a giant midway, which I don't go near, because the first time I was at the fair with my husband, I didn't want him to know I didn't like rides, went on the Wild Mouse with shorts on and skinned both my knees by bracing myself. There was a nice fireworks display. There's in the event center, there's things they sell, clothing and hot tubs and whatever. We left the grounds at 11 p.m. We got home at 1 a.m. My advice is never go to the Erie County Fair when Billy Joel concert goers are leaving Highmark at the same time.
Oh, no.
Marty Johnston will be our second evaluator. He is evaluating Thomas Halsted. Marty.
Hello, Toastmasters, most welcome guest Karen.
It's okay. You get the help for it.
I wanted to congratulate Thomas this morning because even though I didn't see it on the international website, he's completed his first path, Visionary Communications. All right, so give Tom a round of applause. And he's moving into his next venture, his second path, Dynamic Leadership this morning. Third path, Dynamic Leadership. And the purpose of Tom's project, it's actually an icebreaker. The purpose is the project for the member to introduce himself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. And I will be evaluating Tom. The time is 4 to 6 minutes. Madam Toastmaster.
The title of Tom's speech this morning is Icebreaker. Tom.
Okay. You have my title list. I'm going to be standing and sitting, so don't. Because it's Zoom, we've been sitting like this, and I'll basically, since it's an icebreaker, I get to twaddle the entire time for this speech. And I wanted to figure out where to go. The reason I'm doing a very path is because I haven't put in everything for my level 2s for the other path, and until I put those in, it won't open level 3 for me. So having to do a speech, I'm like, oh, where am I going to? I'll just jump to the icebreaker because it's the easiest one, and I get to twaddle. So it's not even a structured speech. It's whatever I feel like, reacting to the audience, seeing where you guys want me to go. So the title of the speech is volunteering and why it is so close to my hurt. Not heart. It's close to my hurt. We've all volunteered for things at the lowest level. Making breakfast for everyone. In high school, you went out for sports teams or extracurricular teams. There were times where you didn't volunteer. My parents said you will run for student council and you'll try and get into one of those positions. So I took secretary. And I guess that's kind of like the far end of the extreme. And I brought two thought processes with me. Making breakfast, join a sports team, coming here at Toastmasters, you choose it. So it's kind of like, yay, if I get hit by this, no big deal. No one's going to get mad at me, no matter how bad I do at it. From the movie Scrooge, where he's like, fire these people. They're volunteers. You can't fire volunteers, right? The other end of the extreme is being voluntold to do something. This is not exactly gentle. This is not exactly easy. Most of the time, it's almost impossible to say no to being voluntold to do something. I know that I have done it. Wow, that sounds really exciting. It's good that you're into that. I really wish I had the time to do that, but I just can't spare the time. And, you see the hammer hanging there, and it's not going to be pretty if you say no, but you do. And normally there are a few negative repercussions that come with that. But one time I had done that, someone said, I wish I had been able to say no that gracefully. And I was kind of impressed that they said that almost immediately after I had talked and told them no. The military for me was a volunteer thing. It's a volunteer military. Well, that was somewhere in between the two. Not really sure which one would be closer to, but I know that even if it did start closer to the hammer because of trying to escape a family situation and get out of a family that was a high-functioning alcoholic family, it eventually became the spatula, where I had a group of brothers that I would do anything for. I didn't want to leave them. When the recruiter came back and said, are you going to extend another 3 years, 5 years? I'm like, yeah, why would I go anywhere? This is a great party. We're having fun. I get to do push-ups all day long. This is nice. Actually being the drill sergeant was actually interesting. I didn't have the personality for it. I actually had to act most of the time. So that taught me, I've already gone over 5 so's. And that taught me that things snowball. The more you volunteer, the more opportunities you take, the more come your way. And you'll be having to reject more and more. So you actually have to grow a tough skin and actually say no to people. Choose more spatulas, less of the voluntold hammers. I wish that I had used the gentle way of saying no to some things. I'm going to say that I am fine with being president this year, although that was taken under duress, an alcohol intoxication, late at night. Are you going to do a position? I said yes, to a general position. A couple months later, they're like, oh, the only position we don't have open is president. Oh, that's right. Tom said he'd do something.
I don't remember it that way.
Well, I guess it's on what side of the mirror you're looking at it from, or the monitor, I guess. You haven't been impeached yet. I haven't been impeached. That's a good thing. Yes.
Very few scandals.
Very few scandals in Toastmasters. Hopefully I don't get impeached. And I want to do a good job. And that's one of the things that has happened with all the leadership training and the way my personality has developed over the years. I end up in more and more leadership positions where I'm volunteered to do it. So again, in the middle. And most of the time I don't say no. It's an opportunity. Even if it's painful, even if I'm the only one receiving these 5 or 10 emails every month that are you as the president must act on these, they're okay. It's fine. So if you have an opportunity to volunteer for something, I don't know, maybe later in the meeting if someone brings something up, Beth, and you have an opportunity to volunteer for something, I would highly suggest that you take the opportunity and enjoy it. Thank you very much, everyone.
And then my two, like more than one.
Standing during my breaker. What happened?
Oh,
your first one?
Our next evaluator, thanks, will be evaluating Jackie Kenny. Wow. I have to admit, when I first saw that I was evaluating Jackie, I was very intimidated. And then I thought, well, okay, the Celtic mom can evaluate the Toastmasters mom. We'll be okay. Jackie's speech today is Bling the Blog. So this should be interesting. It is other manual or non-manual speech. Non-manual speech. And it is a 5 to 7 minute time period timer. Thank you. And Jackie Kenny.
Not sure what that was about.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Madam Evaluator, Madam Toastmaster, and all of you. It's good to be here again this morning in person. Bling the Blog. As you work your way through pathways, you will come to an opportunity to create a podcast or to create a blog. I have no experience with blogs other than reading someone else's blog. So I started looking into it a little bit. One of the things you need to do is have interesting material. Nobody's going to follow your blog if it's full of twaddle. But it has to also look interesting. It needs to have some kind of ambiance, a background color, some photos, some little decorative items here and there scattered around the blog, just to pique the interest of your reader and have them keep working their way through what you have to say. I decided I would try to create a blog because I recently posted something on the MHA website. I happened to be sitting at my desk and looked into the next room, which was our library. We're now calling it a reading room because it's not really curated like a library. And I posted a little bit about what I was seeing from my desk. The reading room, I could hear people in another room who had gotten together to play cards and socialize a little bit. That's something that's very important for people who have mental health issues. They are isolated at times and they need to interact with other people. Getting together for some kind of social activity helps that. So we could hear those pleasant sounds and knew that they were enjoying themselves. They brought their lunch and kind of relaxed together. So I posted a little bit about that. I thought, maybe I should start a blog about what's going on here at the Mental Health Association. And then a week or two later, I was at a picnic. As you know, I'm friends with Joe Budnack's mom and have been for more than 50 years. She's an amazing person. We have a little group of women who used to work in the same office. Some of us at the same time, some of us followed one another into jobs, and we get together regularly. We have an annual picnic, and I was standing back watching the rest of them clean up the kitchen after our meal, chatting and just kind of doing the things you do around the kitchen. And I started snapping pictures of them. They are so important in my life. I thought, you know, maybe this is what my blog should be about. The people that are important in your life in different ways as you go through the years. Well, all of that sounds good, except I still don't know how to do a blog. And I've got to do a lot more research. When you do the blog project, you're expected to post at least 8 times on your blog. So I really need to get going. I've got my first 2 items already. I don't have the background. I don't have the decorative elements. I need to pick some fonts that I like to write in. But I think I have a lot to say. I've had things published before, poetry and articles in newspapers and magazines. So I'm comfortable with the writing part. It's the creating the blog online part that I'm not so comfortable with. I don't want it to be full of twaddle. I want it to be interesting and maybe a little bit intriguing for the people that might want to read it and follow what I have to say. Of course, there will definitely be a little bit about Toastmasters in there. Our journey, my journey, joining the club, meeting all of you, making friends, becoming a Zoom participant, becoming a district officer, all the things that we do in Toastmasters. And I look forward very much to being a blog master, but I do want to bling my blog. Thank you.
I sure will. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. All 3 speakers qualified today. Carol Ann at 5:37, Thomas at 6:01, and Jackie at 5:06. I very much enjoyed our twaddling today. Thank you.
Nice. Nothing twaddling again. Okay, please cast your vote for one of the 3 speakers, and we will start with our evaluation. Oh, and also remember, people virtual, email or message Larry directly, and your selection to vote. 1, 2, 3, Carol, Tom, or Jackie. Now we'll go to the evaluators, starting with Larry McKenzie. He's evaluating Carol.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. This morning I had the pleasure of evaluating Carol Ann. It's the very first time that I've ever evaluated Carol. I looked back in my notes and I said, I've never had the opportunity, but I have had the opportunity throughout the meetings and even virtual to listen to some of the great stories that you have told. Today, your task was to tell us a story in a speech. You did that. And I learned a lot about the fair. I haven't been to the fair in quite a while. And you listed a ton of things at the fair, which some I knew about, some I did not know about. What I would have liked to have you done, though, when you were expanding on your list, was maybe to grab a couple of them that were really intriguing to you and your family and expand on those and give us some detail. It's always good when you're telling a story to engage your audience with something that was very impactful for you that maybe brought that story about. And I think if you had expanded on one or two of those in a little more detail than listing, it would have been a little more impactful, even though the whole speech, the whole way through, you gave us a ton of information. And for me, at 7:29 in the morning, that was a lot of information for intake. So I am glad that we are recording so that I can actually rewatch your speech to see some of the things that maybe that I did miss. What I would like to see you do, though, is you were trying to use your notes a little bit here, I noticed, and they were off to the side. One of the things that we have with standing in front, you don't have a lectern or somewhere to put your notes. And as you can see, we have some people that are joining us also virtually, so it's always good to include them. And you seem that you were engaging our virtual, but we are also in person. So if you would engage all of us with your eye contact, and as such, the camera will catch that for our virtual audience also. And I know it's a little bit different because it's our second hybrid meeting, and it's an adjustment for all of us. And in telling your story, you did a great job. What I've liked to have seen, though, is a little more vocal variety throughout and impactful, like when you were talking about the rides. One of the things that I used to like to do is go on a lot of the different rides. I can't do that anymore since I have a couple of different bang-ups, is a good way of putting that. And you had mentioned about some of the rides and different parts of the fair that you were engaged in. What I would like to have heard was, and get excited about a couple of them and make that come through within your speech. All in all, you did a wonderful job and you tell great stories. And I must say that I wrote in my notes here that you're always someone that I'd like to look forward to listening to, because you bring some great stories about things that I perhaps didn't know about, or that, like your trips, and especially the trip to the fair. Thank you for being a timely participant at the fair this year and sharing that with us. Madam Toastmaster?
Second evaluator this morning, Marty Johnston, who is evaluating Thomas this morning.
I just don't, because there's a microphone here on the
Thank you,
table.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and again, most welcome guest, Karen and Thomas, the opportunity to evaluate you this morning. When I went to print out the evaluation form for Tom, I had to write the name of his title on my form, and I wrote, "Why volunteers hold a special place in my heart." It said hurt, H-U-R-T, and I crossed out hurt. And then I wrote, crossed out heart, and I wrote hurt. And I said, "Tom, what is this about?" And he told me. And we had a funny little joke about that. And it threw me off guard. Actually, Tom, you had a well-organized and a wonderfully structured speech today for your icebreaker. You used the word twaddled while you were speaking. You had great eye contact. And your voice quality was good, even though you were sitting. Sometimes if you're standing, you can expand your lungs and your breathing capacity and your speaking ability. And you use eye contact a number of times to gauge the audience response. And you threw that out there right in the beginning. And I thought that was good. So you played to the audience a little bit, and you engaged the audience, and you worked back and forth with the audience. I liked the analogy you had with the spatula and the hammer, and how it related to volunteering and being the difference between volunteering and being voluntold. And as Toastmasters, we all know about those two different variables, if you will. A couple things to work on. If the headset mic is available, I would like you to use that whenever you can. For the main reason, you had two props and you were sitting and you're holding the mic with one hand. And I know you wanted to specifically identify one prop at a time. And instead you were trying to do it with your 5 fingers, which was hard, but you did a great job at it. So next time, definitely you can take advantage of the headset mic. I'm going to throw grammar in there. One point correction of grammar, and the grammarian may have picked up on it. You used the word wanna versus want to once, and I caught that. Just be careful with that because it's a slang we try to use, and just be cognizant of that. To challenge yourself, next time notify me if there's any grammar or any misspellings or anything, so I don't make a, what is the word, a buffoon or a faux pas. And take time to prepare for your next level and pathways. I know that if you continue to use humor and just be yourself, I think you'll do a wonderful job. Tom, congratulations. Madam Toastmaster of the day.
The third evaluator, Beth Banks, is evaluating Jackie.
Thank you very much. Oh, evaluating Jackie. It's difficult. I will say that there are times when we kind of force the word of the day into our speech, and it doesn't always come out very well. Jackie didn't do that. Her use of the word twaddle was used correctly and very appropriately in the place that she used it. I loved some of her vocabulary, ambiance, to pique our interest, intriguing, great words. Jackie, you have great eye contact to the people in person. You were kind of roaming the room with your eyes. That was very good. One thing I noticed, I don't think you ever focused on the camera. So the people at home may not have felt as involved, but I think that's a difficult thing to do for all of us because we haven't done this hybrid more than once. So that's really tough. I love your facial expressions. You're obviously a well-trained, experienced Toastmaster. I cannot give a speech with no notes. And Jackie, you are able to do that. I can definitely understand why you would be called the Toastmaster mom. Your calming presence, the way you deliver things, is a help to all of us. And I certainly could learn from that. Thank you very much, Jackie.
Timer this morning. How did our evaluators do?
Thank you. I've been sitting at the table because the audio on the microphone can pick me up because I am loud and I am right there. But this is how you use the microphone, and watch me again, because this is like 90% of us are having trouble, except for the pros in the back and on the side here. So like, sound the difference. It's half an inch, and I can't hear you as much. I've already made a note that I will bring sanitizer wipes because that's making me a little cautious. Didn't think of that because maybe that's some of the reasons some of us aren't putting this right up in our face. But you can't talk and you can't even do this. You feel like you're holding a mic like you ought to be, but you're really not. You're really holding the mic when it's really close like this. Or like Larry does, he tilts it a little bit. So if you feel like you want to pull it away, you could tilt it a little bit. That's an advanced technique. It's a directional mic. So you're talking right into the top of the piece of it. Everyone qualified today. Larry at 3:24. No, I'm a liar. Larry went over. Wait, no, there's a 30-second buffer. He did qualify, but man, I thought you were over. 3:24, you barely made it. Marty right in the middle at 2:45, and Mom with the buffer in the early end, 1:48. So well done. And Zoomers, please vote to Larry in a private chat. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Kate. Thanks for the teaching of the mic, speaking. Well, we have a little time, and I'm going to just fill in a little bit before I call our general evaluator up. A couple weekends ago, my husband and I went to the Renaissance in Sterling, New York, to see the medievals. We brought the boys there maybe 15 years ago, at least. And I remembered it being 15 years ago, of course, well before COVID. It was more interactive, more people, more fun, I have to say. The kids had more to do. They were human chess pieces.
Yeah.
And I know
That's
my
fun.
2 boys participated in that, playing chess and the people moving them around to different spots and the fighting, the dueling and all that good stuff. Food, of course, always a big draw. The food and the alcohol and the beer tents. It's what makes festivals. But it wasn't the same. I don't know if it was because we didn't have these young children with us or COVID. I haven't really put my finger on it. So I think next year we're going to go to Tuxedo Renaissance. It's in the near the Adirondacks, I think it is. We're in Tuxedo, New York. And they have a huge one, I heard. Matter of fact, one of my cousins run all the food concession stands, so I'll get tickets cheap. So David, please come up and evaluate the meeting, myself, and our evaluators this morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The job of the general evaluator.
Evaluator.
It's the job of the general evaluator to find a big cup of coffee before he starts thinking. And I have become a great fan of coffee, and I have to remember that. Alrighty then. I want to give Sylvia kudos. She did a lot of homework, and she had great filler. But now I have to go off the reservation. You clink glasses because the sound of clinking glasses approximates the sound of church bells ringing and drives the evil spirits from the table. And that's what I use at the winery, and that usually gets me another $1 tip. So I wanted to share that with you.
I can do it.
And you were good. You were good with the mic. Oh, I want to give you praise again because you soldiered on. You had some mic difficulty. You could hear the static, but you didn't panic because you have these excellent. I don't know who's the producer and who's the floor manager here, Larry or Ken.
Decaf.
There is coffee over there.
Oh, no, that's Keurig, honey. That's coffee. Sorry, I let my emotions get carried away with me. 30 years in the coffee business, and you want me to drink.
I'll bring the French press next week. We'll do our best.
Well, why don't you bring a French girl like your friend?
This is being recorded.
Thank you, all right, back to work here, Dave. Back to work. But you did not panic at all during that, and you let these two incredible gentlemen. And I know there's no space for my job to evaluate them, but they do an incredible job with all this electronics. So I want to mention Larry. Did I get that right? Okay. Well. And also I want to share with you that when you recruit new Toastmasters, it's easier to recruit a person who is a Toastmaster but doesn't know she's a Toastmaster. And I think Sylvia has always been a Toastmaster. And then she came to realize that she was a Toastmaster when we gave her the badge and the secret word and secret word. I had a note about my friend Larry. I was wondering if Larry was going to mention that Carol had an awkward ending. And Larry didn't mention that, so I want to chastise him a little bit. He's over there making his boo-boo kitty face. in your nose, good place for it. All right. What? You did it. You did give her encouragement, and I'm sure she can't wait to speak again. And Carol is indeed growing as a storyteller every time she speaks. And coming from Niagara Falls, she'll have many, many stories, because I work up there now, and it's all coming back to me. It was a nice sandwich. You did double clutch though on the improvements where you were going nice clutch, improve, nice, improve, nice. So that's it. Marty Johnston, I want to encourage you to keep the microphone in the same zip code as your mouth. You were all over the map. And you dropped it to your sides. And Katie Kasha is incredibly right about mic proximity. You stepped on the grammarian's toes. I'm really giving you a hard time today. You stepped on the grammarian's toes. Don't do that, all right. But you did have a great finale where you were very encouraging to the speaker. Beth Banks, this is very simple. It was a warm and fuzzy mom-to-mom evaluation. There's no doubt about that. All right, doing my best without coffee to remember to call the word master last. All right, let's get on with this, the jobs. So, I think we'll go straight to our master, Len Thornton. Lenny.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. The coffee didn't kick in for me either this morning. I must apologize.
That's because it's curry.
I brought my own from home.
That didn't work?
But it was curry. Sylvia, you had more than 5. Understandable when you have the mic in front of you for so long as Toastmaster. David, I did count 1 filler word for you, but you've been doing pretty well lately. Bill, you like the word however. 3 times you used that as filler. Larry, you had 4, and it is your nemesis.
And you're right.
Carol had 3. Thomas Holdwine had 3, and he used something that just kind of put shivers down my spine. He used the phrase, they're like. Either they said or they did. They're like. I just hate that. That's all I had today. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you so much. Does anyone know where Len and I can get a caffeine infusion? All right, back to work. Speaking of warm and fuzzy family stuff, I'd like to introduce the grammarian, my very own son, Mike Liccato. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters this morning. A lot of good language this morning, but also a lot of mistakes that I've noticed. Karen used most definitely this morning, and you used no restart. And Phil used best as favorites, which isn't right. I was impressed by our speakers this morning because there was a lot of imagery in both Carol and Jackie's speech and Tom's speech this morning. I did use the use of the word volunteer and voluntold. I know that as a side note, part of the experience of the younger generation is when we go to volunteer for things, there are experiences of being told what to do and treated like at the end of the day you get a paycheck, which isn't exactly how volunteering works. Now, some of the poor language I have noticed that we are using and too much to connect sentences, and it creates these run-on sentence experiences. Why'd you look at me? No, I look. And we're all guilty of it at this point, so I just want to encourage everyone to continue to rewatch the video on YouTube, to listen to everyone's speeches so we can improve our public speaking. And that is my report this morning. Thank you.
To Mikey. Someday I will share the note that Mike gave me, but that's a whole nother speech.
Right. I never see you laugh.
Oh, gosh. Well, why don't we do the quiz? It's our quiz master, Tracy Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As promised, that aforementioned test. What type of mic do we have?
A directional.
Very good. That was for my purposes because I'm terrible with the mic and with my learning experience. When we began the meeting, what, in the medieval era, what type of beverages did they toast with? Alcoholic. Alcoholic, wine, my preference.
Mead.
Beer. And when Thomas accepted the prestigious position of AM Lockport Toastmasters president, what state of health was he in?
He claims he was intoxicated.
It's hard to tell with him.
I know.
And what did Margot dress up for Mother's Day?
As a queen.
As a queen. Was she abbreviated? What was she? Queen. Was she drunk? Until afterwards.
Inebriated.
Okay, how many times can we do that? As per Eric, when did the medieval era begin? What century?
Well, it ended.
Oh, with Monty Python.
It ended in the
First choice of
1500s.
Monty Python.
Ended in the 1500s or so.
And Katie got it right, the 1500s. What does Phil Russell's family do as a family pastime? They twaddle. And there's two types of camels at the fair, or maybe camels in general.
Dromedaries? Bactrians.
Very good. Wow, Katie.
I'm really into camels. I was impressed, Carol.
And finally, we'll end it with, what would Dave Licata like somebody to bring to our meeting next week?
Real
French
coffee.
girl.
Real coffee.
Good luck, guys.
Maybe both. Real coffee.
Or coffee. Thank you, Heather.
Madam Dave. Thank you so much. David Jones, come in, David Jones.
Yes, sir.
David Jones is our tech master today and our gesture master today. Are we ready, David?
Yes, sir, Mr. General Evaluator. We got lots of things here.
Nothing bad. Take it away, Dave.
Thank you. First for technology, I like the timer light. I'm not sure if the light bulb changes colors every single. It was just something I noticed. It was really cool. So that was cool technology. Like Kate said, with the microphone, the Toastmaster was kind of going gangsta. She had it sideways instead of right in, and we couldn't hear her when she was sideways. So like you said, it's directional. You got to be right on. Overall, with the body languages and gestures, everybody standing up was great. I thought that was just to see everybody standing up, except for Tom. I'm not sure why he was sitting. Maybe he was doing a campfire speech or something, but I felt he's in person. He should be standing up. And then Tom and Carol both used old school technology. They used actual props, and that's always good to use instead of showing something on the back of the screen. And also Larry said, and Beth mentioned it, talking to the audience in person versus Zoom. My personal feeling is Zoom is a privilege to us here at home. So you should definitely look at the audience and talk to them in person, because that is what Toastmasters is all about. And my favorite part of the meeting, off topic, which Dave hates, is when Kate gave Dave advice at the beginning of the meeting. I knew he wasn't going to let it go, so that made my day for the meeting. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. Well, hey, Tom Moran, what's the good word?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. I'm thinking I need a better camera on my computer here. I have a extra one I'm going to slip on there and see, because I actually look much better than what you're seeing on your screen there. But let me go on with the word report. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. The word was used today in Toastmasters by one speaker or another 15 times overall, which I think is a good record for a word. This one I'm going to put right up there with high marks. So, and those people who did not use the word, some of them actually amplified the word in their conversations. So, good word. Remember that and try to use it today. Make it part of your vocabulary. Mr. General.
Moran. So don't forget, folks, get out there and twaddle with all your heart and soul. I know that I can do it. I've done it before. All righty. Now, I'm a little bit puzzled. Should I reintroduce the Toastmaster of the day so she can introduce the president, or just have Tom come up here?
Just have Tom come up.
Ladies and gentlemen, our president, Tom.
Wine.
Thomas?
Help.
Heldwine.
Heldwine
The wine.
Or German Austrian, it's Heldwein.
Also
You shall say
permitted.
it properly. Ooh, pronouncing P's that close is possibly problematic.
I'm not using the microphone again after that.
What, do you think there's going to be some?
No, that's right. We shared coffee already. Whoops, that was a problem.
Oops. Well, super spreader.
Don't say that. John is being very smart right now.
So one of the first things
And
I'm going to
Eric.
do is ask Beth to give us all the special news. You need this?
Hammer time.
Thank you, Thomas. As most of you know, I'm the director of the Celtic Festival. One of the things that we've tried to do for many years is encourage community groups for the better of our community. And the way we do that is invite community groups to come in and we kind of make an exchange. They can come in, have a spot. We provide tables, chairs, whatever, but it would be in our great hall. And we allow you to then reach out to the community to tell the community about your group. What we ask for in exchange is 8 hours of volunteer work for our group. Well, with all of the people in here who already got conned into working at the festival, I believe our 8 hours is covered. So if you would like to come in as a Toastmasters group to promote Toastmasters, then please talk to Tom and he can get a community group contract from us. And then if you want to come in, maybe do a shift in the Celtic Festival. If you come in, obviously you get in for free. And then you would be helping Toastmasters. We can't depend on our hammer president to do all the work. So if you would like to do that, please let him know, and then we can have a group to promote Toastmasters. Tracy, same would be for Rotary if you would like to get some people. It is September 18th and 19th.
We had one in 2019, but we could use more people at the Toastmasters table also.
Thank you. You have an announcement. Oh, yes, I do. Immediate past president Erik Schneider has an announcement. Okay, I'm here to name the murderer. No, just kidding.
So that's October 23rd.
Okay, thank you, Margot. Did everybody hear that? October 23rd? All right. This weekend is the ARCHAIC Festival, and yours truly will be doing a chalk piece down by the waterfront. So if anybody's interested in coming from 9 to 5, and please come and see all the young and adult artists. And this is gonna be my first time, so I'm gonna see how this runs. So please come by and yes, David. Are you waving for Tom?
Past president.
We all know that, Dave.
Your immediate past.
Yes. So okay. So all right, I'll turn things over to Larry for another announcement. Larry.
Thank you very much, Eric. In the event you are out today and you are hungry, everybody's hungry at one time or another, we are doing a chicken barbecue today for the Trinity Old Lutheran Church, and that is on Sheridan Drive by Sweet Home. We'll be there from 3 until sold out, chicken dinners. So stop by if you're out in the neighborhood. And there's that and again. Who's keeping track? Oh, Dave, you have an announcement? Oh, Mr. Licata has an announcement. He wants to let everyone know that there's coffee that he will be bringing next week.
In addition to the fact that there's no real coffee here, there's no real waitress here either. Clean up after yourself because Mom got stuck last week. And I want to stay on the good side of Mom.
That's right. Thank you, David. Thanks for that
Thank you,
announcement. Anybody who does want to stick around to chat about this, feel free. Post
Right.
Toasties here and also downstairs directly below us in the cafe.
Zoom,
Once
you're
welcome.
also welcome to stay for post toasties. What?
The camera's on top of where the wire's attached.
Well, I'm talking to the.
But no, you're not, because they can't see you.
You're back to the camera.
Look at what you got.
All right, that's an example for everybody else, I guess. All right.
You can move your face right in there and get like real close.
Close up, Mr. DeVille.
Yeah. And then look back and you'll see. See, that's
You're
what you're
welcome
doing.
to stay. And listen to Post Toasties. We will speak directly into the mic. All right. So we get to give out ribbons in person now. Maybe. If they want to take them. You don't have to take the ribbon. All right. The first ribbon is for table topics. Our winner today is Phil. There you go, Phil. The best evaluator for today was Beth. So you scanning out awards with the left hand and shaking hands with the right hand at the same time. It's kind of hard. Our speaker of the day is Mom, Jackie. Gracious, very gracious. Wait, it's my code.
Oh yeah, do you want to draw the split code? Okay. Announcement from Marty.
You have another mark.
When you're done with everything else.
Okay. For a big $6 noodles. Here we go.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I went and buy breakfast.
Last three numbers, 984.
No.
It's David.
All right.
Wow, I paid to buy that last ticket.
Did we have people put their names on the back half of the other tickets?
You
this
put
week?
them on the ones you hold and then put them in the loser bucket for dues.
The second place.
The second place.
I'm sorry, it's second chance. No one is a loser. Second chance
The
bucket.
second chance bucket. And I want to, come on now. One of the things I want to say is this is our second hybrid meeting, so there hasn't been 50-50s. And with mid-year dues coming up, normally we use the 50-50 money to have a second chance draw in order to have your dues paid for. So it's always good to do 50-50.
Yeah.
We won't be doing that this time. We're going to
We
wait
can.
until the
We
year
can.
rolls around.
No, we can do it.
But we've only have $12.
No. In the bank account, we have more than
Oh,
the
I know.
box.
Oh, so I don't know if there's a big enough.
I see
don't
what
know
you're
if it's
saying.
there.
We could roll it over. We could. We'll roll it over. Good decision.
I got like 7 of the 12s in there, so I'm actually going to say yes.
Let's roll it over. I make a
Oh,
motion.
All right, Marty.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Thomas.
fellow Toastmasters. I have a couple real quick announcements. As some of you may know, I am the Area 11 Director. I don't want you to know, you can applause if you want, but you didn't have to. The reason I say that is I'm your direct link, some of you may know how it works, between the district and the club. And I try to help you out and guide you along to help you reach your goals. With that being said, I'm getting an early start with the club contest I have, or the area contest I have in mind. In January 29th, it's a Saturday, God bless you one. January 29th of 2022 we're looking at. That's the area contest. The venue is to be determined. But keep in mind, these are the clubs that are in the area. And we've been blessed by having one of Jen's clubs that she was working with, sponsoring and mentoring, correct, is Amherst Chamber is now part of Area 11. Is that correct, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, Area 11. I was looking, and when I took over as area director this year, I got less than 30 seconds. It was Dan Lockport, M&T Meet and Toast, they're called, and then M&T Leaders and Speakers. There are only 3 clubs. And when the district leadership got together, they reconfigured the Area 11 and they added UB West Winds and the Amherst Chamber. So we have 5 clubs in our area. I'm looking, and the reason I'm letting you know that date is so we can start to think about our club level contest, Thomas, and fellow officers.
Yeah, that's my responsibility.
And keep that in the back of your mind. And as I
what topics?
Get a
what are they?
Definite date, I will let you know. And the contest, the 2 contests are table topics and international this year. There's no fall contest, so that's going to be the only contest, and it's going to be in February, March of next year. The district, the division, and the district. And then I just wanted to remind you that we had a couple educational awards. Jackie Kenny, for those of you that don't know, and Jen Zapla both received a level 4. I noticed on the international website, and July 13th, Leadership Development Award for Jackie and Visionary Communications level 4 for Jen. So round of applause for all them and yourself. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. That was more announcements than I was expecting. But we have one last announcement, a spatula volunteerism. We have an opening for Toastmaster next week. You get to pick the subject and call up the speakers and the table topics person and get evaluated. All these awesome opportunities.
If I don't have to work in the morning, I'll do it.
Woohoo!
Okay,
I'll let you know today.
All right, great. I was gonna just keep rattling on until someone like said. With that, I was supposed to find the gavel. Where's the gavel?
Right on top.
Robert's rules is 3 knocks to end the meeting, correct? 3 or 2?
Just 1.
No, it's not.
I adjourn the meeting. Bam.
Okay.
A motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded. Okay.
To all of our virtual friends.
This is just the ending of the recording.
Wait a minute, we need Karen's feedback, remember?
Oh.
Oh, you are correct.
She's not a member of our club.
Let's move it over to Karen for her feedback.
She's a rhetorical roar president.
Muted?
She's mute.
Okay. I think you should all be able to hear me.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this time is ideal because everyone in my family is sleeping. This was my first hybrid meeting. I had forgotten that was something you were all attempting, so good for you. I mostly wanted to say that in addition to this being a really good meeting, the last time I attended, several members stayed afterward and answered my burning questions about just some concerns I had with my new role as president of Rhetorical Roar. And I'm pleased and proud to announce that things have been off to an excellent start. I think largely because the previous president set things up for success, but also because I have a mentor who is specifically coaching me not just as a Toastmaster member, but as a president. And thank you so much for your suggestions, because I'm using a number of them. And I'm feeling so much better about that role and the future of our club. Thanks, that's all.
We're gonna stop.
You have to talk into the top of it, the top of it.
You can't talk like this?
I don't know what you're doing, but
You
no.
know, like this?
There we go.
Okay. Thank you.